Hey folks, this is Matt once again, and forgive the background noise and the fans and stuff. It's another hot day here in Texas. But I figured since I did just beat the PlayStation 2 game Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which was a paid request for Lucas, thank you so much for that. I figure if I remember to do this for the others, he sent a lot of video game requests as well as other stuff, so I figured maybe I'd give him a bit of a bonus. Maybe he'd enjoy it or other people, and do a review of these games, at least some of them. Now, this first PS2 game of the Ninja Turtle variety, I last played this about 15 years ago, so playing it again did dig up some bit of nostalgia, and overall I liked it. It was a flawed game. There were moments of frustration, and because whenever I play badly, I get pissed at the game. Like, fuck this game, piece of shit, fuck this game, worst game ever. But at the end of the day, then when everything's calmed down and I'm more familiar with the game, then I'll think about, okay, did I like or dislike it? And this one I did like. Now, it's based on the 2003 Ninja Turtles cartoon, which I love. I love the cartoon. It's my favorite cartoon. And I'm an 80s kid. I grew up with the original cartoon, and I liked it. That's what got me into the Ninja Turtles, as well as the 1990 film. But the 2003 cartoon, I love its story. I love the way you use the characters. I love the action. Much more action-driven narrative for the stories. And especially a lot more martial arts. Love the cartoon. So to have games based on it is very cool. I know there's 3 of them. Lucas actually did request the other 2, which I'll play after this. Now, in the game, of course, you pick as any of the 4 turtles. Now, you do unlock stuff later on, and yes, you can only play 2 players, so some people may be mad that you can't play 4 player. I'm not that kind of guy because I always like playing single player anyway with any game. I've never been a 2-player, 4-player type of guy. I get why people may be mad about that, but for me, it's always about the single player experience. That's just my own viewpoint, my own taste. So that stuff doesn't bother me that's 2-player. Now, the game is pretty much taking place with season 1 of the show. Now, it does not go into all the episodes of the show, which would have been cool. It would have been cool to have a oneer, like with Donnie, with the teen, where it's like an ode to Jack Kirby, or the bit where Michelangelo becomes kind of a wannabe superhero. But ideally, maybe within the narrative, it'd be a bit weird to go off these tangents. But I mean, that'd be fun to see the play, and then maybe rework the story where the other turtles are there with Donatello or with Michelangelo, and a bit more content. Because if you know what you're doing, like when I first played this since 15 years ago, I was able to beat it in 6 parts. And the only reason it was 6 parts is because one part I died after playing it for an hour. If I had succeeded, maybe it only would have been 5 parts. But there are aspects that could have been a bit longer, or maybe a bit more variety of gameplay, some chase levels, some vehicle levels, which I know they do a little bit of that in the second game, but I never played that one before, so I'll find out for myself. But you do have about 6 levels here. You have Things Change, which was the name of the first episode. In that, you're dealing with the Purple Dragons, that gang. You're dealing with, if you're playing as Raphael, you fight Casey Jones, and you guys meet and talk with him. There's the leader of the Purple Dragons, a guy named Dragonface. And kind of then you start again, you use the controls. You also deal with the Mousers, these little robots. And then at the end, you deal with some robots in Baxter Stockman's lab, and you save April O'Neil. Then the other levels, you have Nano, which is about this creature of nanotechnology that this con man kind of finds and teaches it to do bad things. And so you have to deal with robots and eventually other incarnations of Nano until the final bit where it's a Gigantuan and you have to fight it. And thankfully there's all these barrels placed around it. Other levels involve Trap, which was cool that actually involves some new content where some turtle is going around giving you guys a bad name, and they find it and you find out it's a robot turtle that was made by the bad guys, and you fight some incarnations of them, as well as a trap, so you fight a lot of Foot Clan members. There's Tendu, which is dealing with these mystic ninjas, and each one, like one's fire, one's made of metal, and you have to find different ways to defeat each of these guys. So yeah, things changed. Nano, Trap, Tendu. There's Notes from the Underground, which is one of the multi-part arcs of Season 1, where you deal with different creatures, and you find out they used to be human. And then you have Justice, which is you going after the Shredder. And they do streamline the season, and it's kind of cool to see because it's like you're playing its own story. So the fact it doesn't follow the cartoon beat for beat, in a way, is kind of refreshing. Because I could just watch the show if I want to watch that story. So I like when they add some new content in there. I thought that was really nice to see. And to see new animation. You could tell the new animation because it's a bit more stilted, a bit more sluggish, not as fluid as clips from the show. But I like the attempt of trying to put new stuff in there. It wasn't just show a clip, then do the gameplay. Show a clip. It's like, no, we're going to add a little bit more content. Would I like to have seen more? Sure. But I like what we got. The best part of the game for me, and again, I do think it's a flawed game, but the combat is a lot of fun. The combat is a lot of fun because you have this fluidity of combos. You have weak attacks, you have strong attacks. One button is shuriken if you have them, and one is jump. You also have an uppercut you can do, and dash, which you'll be using dash a lot. And that's pretty much it. Now, the combo's a lot of fun, because if you really get into it, you do like a 5-hit combo, and depending which turtle you use, like I used Raphael, if you do a weak and then a strong attack, he'll do a punch, and then like a roundhouse kick, and he'll stun the enemy. If you do, I don't know if it's a weak, strong, or something like that, Raphael will kind of kick forward, like put his feet forward like this, like pa pa pa, and it'll be a more powerful hit for the villain, whichever one you're doing, whichever one you're fighting. If you just do consistent amount of weak attacks, you do this combo, and then Raphael would do like a flying spin kick, a jump spin kick I should say, and if you do that with strong attacks, he'll do like this cartwheel. And obviously for others, their combo's going to look differently. Now it's weird that you have to unlock the jump attack. Thankfully it doesn't take too long to do that, but again, I don't know why you would not have that in the first place. And there's not really any other attacks that you unlock, but that's fine, because I'd rather have all the shit there to begin with and not be held. All these fun combos, you gotta wait till near the end of the game to get them all. Just that'd be really stupid to do that. The look of the game has a nice cell shading to it, which I thought looked really cool. It was visually pleasing to me. The music is appropriate. It's similar to the show. Now, I was never a biggest fan of, I love the 2003 cartoon. The soundtrack was never my favorite part of that show. But it's appropriate for this and the gameplay and stuff. And the bosses, there's some stuff that was a bit tougher than others. Like I said, there was definitely some frustration. But once you get used to it, it's not too bad once you understand a bit of their patterns. Some are more frustrating than others. Sometimes it feels like you get stun locked, and that could be annoying. But I'm not the best gamer, far from it. If I'm able to play this game after 15 years and beat it in 6 parts, and again, one of them is because I fucking failed, because I didn't get what I was supposed to do and how to do things the right way, and it would have been 5 parts. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. It's kind of that mentality. The levels are fun, like the different venues. There's you're inside April's antique shop, and you go outside and you fight bad guys. You fight in alleyways. You fight in construction places. You're fighting on one point like a scaffold being flew by like a helicopter. There's a bit where you're fighting on top of a moving truck. You fight in the underground, thus those from the underground. So it doesn't feel like it's the same environment over and over again. Sometimes the levels seem a bit too long and a bit too spammy with the enemies. But as long as you keep your head, you can do fairly okay. I know this is one bit. I think it was Notes from the Underground. There was this one bit that looked like I was in the middle of Tron, which I thought was a bit weird, but okay, interesting. And if you ever do see my playthrough, like maybe you're watching this, you didn't see the playthrough. There are times I get frustrated because I get frustrated when I'm edgy and not knowing what exactly to do, how exactly to fight something, what's coming up next. Because I have this edge. And that's the thing with the game. One of the things that bothers me a bit, one of the flaws I have with it, each level is broken down into like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 acts. And you have to beat all of them in order to save the game. So if you get to... Now granted, each time you start you get... It says 6 lives, but 0 counts, so I guess technically 7 lives, which is a good amount. But again, it's your first time playing it, you're not sure how to beat certain bad guys, you don't know what's coming next, or how to deal with certain enemies. It can be a bit, uneasy. Especially when you get near the end and then you die, then you just lost an entire hour because you couldn't save. People like an hour, again, if you're playing for the first time and you're being cautious, yeah. Maybe if you're an expert and you're a master and this is second nature, it's not an issue, but the fact again that you have to play like 5, 6, 7 acts until you can save, it's like, well, can it be like, save after every level or after 3, 4 levels? Like, give me a little bit of a break. I would say if I have 3 flaws with the game, one was that of not being able to save as often as I could. Now, a great idea. You don't want to make it too easy. Obviously, because it's that many levels, it's not the longest game ever. But I think it's a decent leap for a beat 'em up. Because you make a beat 'em up too long, it can feel too repetitive. Some may feel it's repetitive now. And yeah, with any beat 'em up game, you'll feel a bit of that. That's why it's nice to have maybe different types of variety of gameplay, which would have been nice for this to have. But at the same time, again, for me, the combat was fun enough. Being in the world of the 2003 cartoon, especially season 1, which may be my favorite season, although I liked a good chunk of the seasons of that show. And yeah, I like to see the new content, especially at the end, which I'll get to later, but... And like, if I played now, I'd be more comfortable, and it would be a bit of an easier time. But I was saying, not being able to save... It's like, if you want to beat this, like, you have to make sure you have enough time to go through all 5, 6 acts. Because if you don't, and you want to play for a little bit, well, sorry, you didn't get to save it, so you have to do it all the fuck over again. And like, we saw those back in the day of Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Like maybe you have like a password or such to get back to it, but with modern games, you know, Resident Evil, you could have you if you have ink ribbons, you can save kind of whenever. With, you know, there's auto save in certain games. There's like Metal Gear Solid where you go in and save pretty much anywhere you want. You know, this takes a little bit of getting used to. So that's probably my one nitpick gripe. Number two, the camera work. The camera work could be a lot better. The camera work can really screw you up. Now, thankfully, there is a radar to kind of know where enemies are, unless they're the invisible ones, the cloaked ones. But at least they'll tell you how many enemies are around and what direction they're in, for the most part. But still, there are times where like an enemy's rolling towards you, but you don't know it until it's too late because they're off screen and you can't move the camera. So the camera work at times can be an issue where I want to see where I'm going. Can I see where I'm going? Can I move the camera a bit so I know at least a little bit of what's in front of me? I would say those are my two major issues. The other, maybe like other two are like nitpicks. One, it would have been nice to have, like I said, a bit more variety. Maybe a level where you're in the battle shell, and some other kind of like driving level, or even if it's like at the bottom, you move left and right. Which I've seen screenshots. I think you have that in the sequel, which is cool. Or like some, again, maybe it's like a first person. You have like a ninja star, and you gotta throw ninja stars, and be like a shooting thing. Kind of like you move your cursor, and you, instead of shooting it with a gun, you shoot it with shurikens. Like a little bit of that variety, I think, could have helped break up the possible repetitiveness that people may feel within the game. And the other bit is, and actually this is a positive because it means I like the game and I wanted more. I wish there was a bit more. I wish there was a bit more stuff. I did maybe a few stuff from season one. You have these kind of offshoots. I mean, there's every couple year levels there's a dojo, and like one you did your jump attack, and one your attack will be stronger. By the end, it'd be like a one shot where you're playing like a Michelangelo story or Donatello story, but then all the turtles are there, and so it's referencing the season one, but it's still doing its own thing. I think that could have been cool to see. Or even just more original content. Because they have some in there, but hell, it would have been cool to even see even more. And the fact that if you want the true ending, you have to beat the game 4 times. So you play as one character, you defeat it, it does save, but then if you play like as another character, they start at the beginning. So you gotta go through the game with each one to get and unlock the final level. Now the ending I got, I'm satisfied with. It's fun to see. Maybe one day, if I ever have time, I would go back and play as the other characters and try to unlock that. Because I think also with all the characters, when you get to the like second to last stage, you unlock like this super weapon, super attack, which could have unlocked that the first time playing it, but it is what it is. You know, one day I would like to do that, but I have a lot of other stuff I need to get to. I just don't have the time to replay the game 3 more times. And it may be one day down the road. We'll see. But anyway, how do I want to put it? It is a flawed game, like I said, but at the end of the day, I did have fun with it. It was great to have the voices of the four turtles in there because I like the cast of the turtles in the cartoon. It was cool to see Splinter, April, Casey, and that in there. The villains that you fight, it is interesting. Like depending which turtle you pick, there'll be at least one extra boss that they fight. So if you pick Donatello, at one point you get to fight Buster Stoppin. If you pick Michelangelo, at one point you'll have to fight the character named Hun. If you pick Raphael, at one point you have to fight Casey Jones, who's a bit of a pushover. That's kind of cool. Also, there's a decent amount of bosses. Like I said, there's the. I played as Raphael, it's my favorite character. So I fought Casey Jones, I fought Dragonface, I fought the Nano and the other incarnations, fighting the Mystic Ninjas, which is four of them. There's the added edition of the Turtle robots, the imposters. There's the Foot Elite Ninja, which the first one was a pain in the ass to fight. It's the guys with these straw hats, like it's Big Trouble Little China. I remember in the cartoon they mentioned they go nice hats. So you get to fight those guys. You get to fight the creatures and those from the underground, which takes a bit of getting used to, but once you know the pattern, it's manageable. And then, of course, in the last bits, at the end you fight Shredder, which he isn't too bad as long as the way I did it is you can find electric stars, ninja stars. You throw one, he gets stunned, you go in with a combo, go back, throw one, stun, go in with a combo. And if you have, a decent amount of lives, you'll be able to manage it. So, at least I was able to. But that last level can be a bit dodgy because the first one they throw like so many of these invisible cloaked Foot Clan members at you, and these annoying fuckers with these turrets that if you get them the right way and you do like a 5-hit combo, like just your weak attack, they can be destroyed. But sometimes they could be like rise up and you're trying to get to them, like get the fuck back down there, and then there'll be like 2 of them or 3 of them, and they'll throw so fucking many, and then here's like 2 mystics, and then here's another foot. They fall so much at the part 1 that it's like, man, if I die once, I'll just start over again because it's a shitload. And then at one point there's like these 2 big Mouser robots and they both fire rockets at you. But again, if I'm able to do it, anybody's able to do it. And I did it on normal, not on easy, normal. So there you go. It's just that when I was trying the first time, I got like to an hour in, the second to last, and I fucking died, and I was pissed, and that's why I'm like, fuck this game, worst. If you watch the playthrough, I'm like, fuck this game, is worst ever, piece of shit, fuck this game. Because I was pissed, I was pissed that I failed. I hate failing. On camera, especially. But if I didn't like the game, trust me, I would say I don't like the game. I do like this game. Again, I like the animation, I like the cell shade look of it. The ending I thought was cool, where you're, spoiler alert, you're against Shredder, like I'm Raphael, and you both jump at each other, and then Shredder kind of topples and falls off the building. It'll fade to black, but then you go through the credits, it'll come back to him, and Raphael like sheaths his size, and he'll do like this, and then Mighty is doing it to mimic his brother, and they start like hugging and chest bumping, and they're like hugging each other like their team won the Super Bowl. And when they chest bump again, Mighty falls and Raph picks him. Like that stuff was cute, especially because Raph and Mighty are my 2 favorite characters. I like their banter, the camaraderie together. I thought like that. I even said in the playthrough that was worth it. That was worth it. Like that fun bit there. I'm fine that I didn't get the true ending. That's still a fun ending to see. and that was cool. So I liked that. That was a lot of fun. So yeah. With that said, like I said, that was fun to see. I did like that. With that said, well, actually, let me think of other stuff. I know I said with that said like 3 times now. I like that each turtle because I did test a little bit of them off camera. They do have their certain moves where they feel different fight wise. Like Mighty's jump attack, he'll use his nunchucks like helicopters, he'll kick his feet up. Donatello has a bit more reach, so they feel a bit different fighting wise, so it just depends on what you're in the mood for. The movements, like I said, the combos, I keep repeating that they felt a fluidity that made it fun. And feel like a badass, kicking the foot ninja's ass, the punch ass. You gotta wait for their move, then you go in and you punch them and kind of look at their attack and wait for an opening and pa 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 pa. That's what made the game fun and entertaining. And again, it didn't, like, part of me wishes it was longer, but at the same time, I was able to beat it in 6 parts, so it wasn't this elongated thing that felt like went on forever and oh my god, is this done yet? Yeah, well, I'm playing like, goddamn, how long is this level? Because I want to make sure I get through so I don't fucking die, because I haven't saved yet. But, it does give you that bit of rush, and, now that it's all said and done and calmed down, I'm like, you know what? That rush was still kind of fun as well. Weirdly enough. Trying to think, was there anything else? No, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to unlock, and that may rub people. I mean, there's some stuff. I believe if you, whatever system you're playing it on, if you set the internal clock to Christmas, they'll wear like Christmas hats, like Santa Claus type of hats. If you set it to Halloween, they'll wear pumpkins, and you can fight with those costumes. You do or can unlock an alternate costume, and there's a password. So Mighty has his superhero costume. Raph has, I don't know, those like biker gear. Not the type with the bar for police cabby. Do 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 do. Not that kind, but a different kind. And I forget what the others have, but they have alternate costumes. I'm sure you look online that there's other cheats you could put in the password for. So there's that. But not a whole lot of like content to unlock. That may annoy people. To me, it's fine. Mostly when I play these games, it's just for the single player experience. Yeah, the stuff nice, added bonus, but if the game itself sucks, it doesn't matter how much fucking stuff you could have downloadable. It's still a shitty game, but this is not a shitty game at all. This was a fun one. I definitely put it on there in the list of favorite PS2 games. Probably not at the top, because that'd be like Resident Evil 4, Silent Hill 2, Evil Dead, Fistful of Boomstick. I don't know, maybe top 10? I don't know. I'd have to look at like all the PS2 games I played. But, it helps that I'm a big fan of these characters, and I love this world, and I love playing within the world of this cartoon. If you don't care about the cartoon, I don't know why you would play it in the first place. But for me, as a guy who's a fanboy, I admit I'm a fanboy of the cartoon. This was fun to play. This was fun to revisit. I did after 15 years. And even then, within the game, I'm getting pissed off and angry. Like, no wonder I didn't play this 15 years. Fuck this. I want to save, goddammit. I died. Fuck this shit. But that's why, at the end of the day and the final part, I'm like, you know what? This was worth it. This was fun. It's fun to revisit. So thanks to Lucas for that. And stay tuned for the next 2. Well, yeah, there's a lot more games to play, but in the first batch, it was the 3 PS2 Ninja Turtle games based on the 2003 cartoon. So we'll do those, then we'll get to other stuff, then we'll come back to the other 3 and the other stuff he has. So thank you, Lucas, for your patience. Thank you all for watching. And we will talk to you later. Bye-bye for now.